Hello, it's Friday, June 26th. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of What's Happening in Myanmar, a show from the Frontier Myanmar podcast family. I'm your host, Nick Dunlop. This week in Myanmar, the Junta claims battlefield victories, internal resistance conflicts escalate, refugees gain new rights in Thailand, and a damning UN report details civilian casualties. The regime announced it recaptured Kampat town in Sagaing region's Tamu township from resistance forces on Saturday. The junta said its troops launched a counter-offensive on June the 7th to seize the town, which resistance forces captured in November of 2023. The military's push came shortly after regime leader Min Aung Hlaing returned from India, where he admitted that progress on the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway has been stalled due to the country's security situation. Since last week, Myanmar refugees sheltering in camps along Thailand's western border have been receiving identification cards formally identifying them as displaced persons from Myanmar. The identification cards grant legal recognition, but not citizenship. The United Nations Refugee Agency's Assistant High Commissioner called these cards a pathway to protection, security and opportunity. More than 5,500 refugees have joined Thailand's workforce since the government approved a policy permitting around 42,000 long-term Myanmar refugees to legally work in the country last October. Resistance forces under National Unity Government Command raided People's Liberation Army bases in Mandalay region's Thong Ta township on June the 22nd. The PLA, which is the revived armed wing of the Communist Party of Burma, said around 500 PDF fighters encircled its bases with the aim of apprehending 2 members. The NUG's Defense Ministry said a PLA officer had detained a resident and confiscated his belongings without informing the PDF, demanding a 200 million Chat ransom. 4 PDF fighters were killed by booby traps set by the PLA during the raid on June 22nd. The PLA released a statement explaining its dispute with the NUG, saying it detained a policeman and his wife who confessed to making plans to form Junta militia with a resident of Thong Ta township. The PLA posted a video of the alleged informant confessing to reporting resistance movements. The group said it released the detainee hours before its camps were raided by the People's Defense Forces and condemned the NUG's pressure and intimidation tactics. A junta delegation led by Lieutenant General Ya Pye met with the leaders of the United Wa State Army and National Democratic Alliance Army during a visit to Shan State last week. The UWSA has claimed neutrality since the February 2021 coup. Meanwhile, the Shan State Progress Party revealed details of discussions it held with the regime, asking for more schools, teachers and fuel for its territory, while the junta requested cooperation in combating cyber scams and narcotics. The Seven Ethnic Armed Organization Alliance, a coalition of 7 groups signatory to the nationwide ceasefire agreement, is also preparing for upcoming peace talks with the regime. A UN Human Rights Office report said the junta killed at least 702 civilians, including 153 children and 224 women from August last year to January, primarily in central Myanmar and Rakhine State. The report said 505 civilians were killed in airstrikes and drone attacks, with 111 killed before the regime's election held in December and January. The UN warned that reduced international assistance has forced civil society organizations to cut programs and lay off staff, curtailing emergency healthcare across the country. After more than 10 years of award-winning journalism, we at Frontier are fighting for our survival. The grants that once supported 2/3 of our operations are no longer available. Despite this, our journalists continue their difficult and dangerous work, but with decreasing resources. Please encourage friends and colleagues to join Frontier so we can continue producing our trademark features, in-depth investigations, and on-the-ground reporting. By joining Frontier, you'll be supporting us to tell the stories that matter and to cut through the noise and reveal what's really happening in Myanmar. Please click the link in the podcast show notes to join us. Thank you. The Civil Society Network for Human Trafficking Victims Assistance requested help from the Thai police for more than 5,300 people trapped in cyber scam centers along the Thai border in Myanmar. Most are held in territory controlled by the Democratic Karen Benevolent Army in Kayin State, with victims from China, Myanmar, Thailand, and other countries. Meanwhile, the regime demolished a 7-story building allegedly used for scam operations in Shui Koko town in Kayin State's Myanmar Township. The NUG-affiliated Magway-PDF said it destroyed a regime Mi-17 helicopter while it was on the ground in Magway region's Myang Township on Tuesday. The group shared footage showing an explosion below the aircraft when it landed in Twin Ma village, a Pew Saw T militia stronghold. A resistance source said 3 soldiers and 2 military officers on board were killed, and 1 soldier was seriously wounded. Regime aircraft bombed resistance positions in the area after the incident. Human Rights Myanmar and Independent Press Council Myanmar released a report dealing how public engagement with Myanmar media shifted between the February 2021 coup and the regime's election. The combined Facebook views from sampled outlets declined from 4.7 billion before the coup to 2.4 billion this year. Despite this decline, monthly posts published by outlets increased from around 17,000 to 20,000. The report noted that engagement has become sharply polarized, with the share of highly partisan outlets increasing from 18% before the coup to 24% at the beginning of this year. Malaysian Foreign Minister Muhammad Hassan told Parliament yesterday that Myanmar's rebranded junta seemed more open to suggestions than its predecessor. During a meeting in Naypyidaw last month, Muhammad raised ASEAN's 5-point consensus with regime counterpart Timor Sway, discussing a ceasefire, dialogue, political prisoner releases, and the Rohingya refugee crisis. I see that the Myanmar side this time seemed more open, Muhammad stated, while noting that Myanmar has yet to achieve progress under the 5-point consensus, despite signs of alleged progress from the regime. The minister warned against marginalizing Myanmar, which could create space for external interference that would complicate resolution efforts. While he didn't name specific third parties, his comments appear aimed at China's increasing intervention since 2024. Mohammed emphasized that his visit did not amount to recognition of Min Aung Hlaing's administration, noting he met at a hotel rather than at the foreign ministry. He said Malaysia will continue to engage with the regime, national unity government, PDFs and ethnic armed groups to support ASEAN's peace efforts. A resistance fighter released a video in which Bo Mun Daing explains himself. He is one of the founders of the Magway-PDF and was arrested by the NUG last year. He affirmed his dedication to overthrowing the regime but claimed he was sidelined due to internal disagreements about whether to retreat from territory in Mandalay region during junta counter-offensives. The NUG said he was sentenced for stealing gold and funds from the group, and for having an affair with a married woman, though the woman denied ever being married and said she felt scapegoated in a power rivalry. And that's the latest from Myanmar for this week. I'll be back next week to bring you a roundup of all the stories making the headlines on Friday, July the 3rd.